guys, welcome to another episode of 5S to Love. You know, as women, we often think the idea, the concept behind being in a relationship and a man mentioning the word submissive can sometimes be offensive. And I don't know whether it's the man that's saying it to you that makes you feel offended or put off by it, or it's just the idea of being submissive to a man. But then when I talk to men, it's more of an idea of, are we protecting them? And I don't think it's more submissiveness. Maybe it's protection. So we're going to have that real conversation tonight because so many women are concerned about what men and how they interpret that concept. That's like a real conversation. I don't know. You guys seen my reaction about being submissive. So real talk. So tonight, you know, our men's roundtable, and I call it the men's roundtable sometimes because I feel like we should be sitting at a round table, but it's real talk with men. And here we have Briant and we have Gaylon. And hi guys, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Hey.
Listen, I'm so excited. Just to let you guys know, Cedric's going to be joining us late. It is his birthday. So when he gets on, we're going to do a little shout out to Cedric, but he's still going to pop on for us. And I'm just so excited. So, you know, this conversation, and I know you guys have probably gotten it numerous times before, where women are deeply concerned. And I know for you, Gaylon, especially with you doing a lot of counseling and coaching with people as it relates to relationships. You guys have seen me and how put off I am about the word. We already know how I feel about it. But, you know, I can only say concerned. So I don't know. What's your thoughts when it comes to the whole thing of what does submission mean to you? When you ask a woman to submit, what does that look like for you? Like, what is that overall? And Brian, I'll start with you. What does that look like?
I mean, for me, like the submissiveness, that word itself, you tell a woman that I want you to submit to me. That's a scary word to a woman. If she's been through some things and the man didn't have his joint together and he wanted her to submit to her, yeah, you said it to her off on the offset, she ain't gonna do it. But somebody who got the stuff together, responsible, dots the I's, cross their T's, takes care of business. I'll use from the biblical. A man that as I submit to the Lord, a woman's willing to submit to me. But if I'm one of them crazy knuckleheads that's spending money, doing this, not caring about anything, I shouldn't expect a woman to want to submit to me.
Right.
And that's how I look at it. And I wouldn't expect any woman in her right mind to submit to any man who ain't taking care of what he need to do. Who's not taking care of his business, not responsible, who doesn't do what he needs to do. I would expect anyone to do that.
So what about you, Gaylon?
I don't use that type of language. Just in general, I understand the context of biblical culture, obviously being a minister for so many years and being a teacher of religion in the Bible for 25 years. However, I do think that words are taken out of, we use scripture out of cultural context. And in cultural context, biblical times, women were considered property of men. So that's why men, you had to go to a father, pay for his daughter to become your bride. Then she became your property. That context is not necessarily the context of now. You know, women owning property, women actually working, women being fully educated, and things of that nature was not necessarily the conversation. So, you know, as a married guy, I didn't go to my wife, so you got to submit to me. I mean, I think first of all, you know, the word submit, I think one of the things we need to recognize is what does it mean? Just based on the dictionary. It means to accept or yield to a superior force or to the authority or will of another person. Now, in a more modern context, a spouse is more of a teammate outside of the other context, obviously. I'm not talking about the spiritual dynamics. I'm talking about just from the standpoint of a partner. Maybe that's a better word.
Okay.
That is, and in partnerships, there can be people who do certain things better than others. Like there might be somebody who might be more organized, somebody who might be better with money, who might be better at certain things. Hopefully, a relationship complements each other. You know, if you have somebody that complements you, then you can build and create the marriage and the life you desire. But just to say, because I'm a man, you got to listen to what I say. I think it's a ridiculous term. No more if it was a woman saying the same thing. And
I agree.
Not to mention that, also to mention that I think that this is utilized many times in. Okay, I'm just gonna say it because there's no way for me to filter this.
Like you're really struggling with this. You're trying to figure it out.
In religious circles, when men don't necessarily feel as though that they have power in the workplace, that power is then exercised at home differently. So you might be the low man on the totem pole, but when you go into your religious settings, when you go into your home settings, this mindset of I'm in charge, I'm the king, I'm the this, I'm the that, I'm the big wig, can sometimes be emphasized and enhanced when you're not as accomplished in the outer world. Guys like Brian and me, we don't need to tell anybody to do anything because we're confident in who we are. So you don't want to roll with me because I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
You're going to want
to. There you go. Anissa said it right there. A man must make a woman feel secure before she will submit to him.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% in agreement with that.
Yeah. It's just one of those things to where what ends up happening is if you are handling your business,
it automatically
people will. Let me use a different word. People will acquiesce. People will follow your leadership.
Yeah,
exactly.
When you are a leader and you're handling your business.
Okay, but Gaylon, this is a question now. You get so many guys, and I've dated guys who, that's the first thing. Well, you're the kind of woman I know that won't submit. And I said, well, I'm sorry. What do you mean? Like, I'm not understanding what you're saying to me. Am I supposed to bow down and wash your feet when you walk in the door? Like, I'm not understanding. What do you mean I'm not the type of woman to submit? But to your point, and to Anissa's point, if you're the guy that comes in and you've got your stuff together, that's not even a question. It's just going to happen naturally that I am going to begin to respond to you a certain way, right? But that's what my concern is. Why is it that men automatically, like their interpretation, and that's where that's actually one of the questions is basically this. Do you think Black men communicate being submissive, a woman being submissive in a controlling way?
I don't want to speak about Black men in general.
I'm not saying all Black men.
What I'm saying is this.
Black men. I'm saying Black men in general, when they do communicate, it does come off that way. Because I've had white guys talk about it and they don't. They never bring it up.
Well, I think the difference is, first of all, the background of the Black guy. If a Black man comes from a more traditional, conservative Christian background where that language is used, then that might be the context through which they function. That's one level. Then you just have guys that just want to control women. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with anything that's righteous. It's just how much can I get away with?
Exactly.
And I'll just let Brian jump in from there.
And also a man like that. I mean, Christine, I think what Cedric said, you have that masculine energy. In other words, you tell them straight out what the deal is. And you a man that's not confident in himself, he's gonna be scared of you. He's gonna be afraid of you. He's gonna be intimidated. That's why some of them come out and say, you don't like the kind of woman to submit. Because first of all, they're not confident themselves, and look at you carrying yourself in such a confident manner. They can scare you from the jump. From the words come out your mouth, they're like, ooh, maybe she won't submit because they're not confident themselves. They're not doing what they need to do, and you'll find out things out in conversation as you talk to them. I mean, they'll make it.
And I agree with you. I just think sometimes it comes from a place of insecurity. And to Gaylon's point, if you don't have that type of control or that level or position that you want outside of home, then you come home, you want that, then to me, there's a better way of communicating because you're missing out on a lot of good women. And the thing is, we're going to talk about this later about a comment that Kevin Samuels made on his podcast. It's like the talk of the town, and it has Black women in an uproar. And we've talked about this on the show briefly, but I want to go into some more detail about it. But it's in relation to that. it was kind of wrapped up in that concept that Black women are not submissive. And I'm just saying, I'm not getting that part. Like, what are men truly saying?
No, well, I think what some guys are saying is that some of the encounters they have with women tend to be more confrontational. So sometimes people don't use the right language, the right words for what they really mean. Like, okay, there is an aspect of, I'm a guy, do you really want to deal with a lady that has hyper masculine energy? Most guys would say no. But then there's the issue of confrontation. Okay. So as you've heard me say this many times, Christine, you can have bottom lines, non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables? But then after that, you have to have some flexibility in your communication and wants and things of that nature. Like, okay, what are my bottom lines? What do I have to have, and what definitely doesn't work? And get very clear, crystal clear about those things. Once you get crystal clear about those things, then you can start talking about what's workable and what's not workable. And for many guys, the idea of everything being a confrontation, everything being an argument, everything blowing up, nothing ever being finished or wrapped up or completed is problematic. So,
but the Gaylon, but let me ask you a question. In that type of dynamic, it's two people being, how can I say, combative. A woman can't argue with herself, and a man can't argue with himself. I mean,
people can argue by themselves.
I mean, they can, but for the most part, the only thing I can do is, and you're right, people can't argue with themselves. But one of the things that deeply concerns me is that it's like if you disagree at all, period, with the person, they feel that you're combative. It could be on the smallest thing, the most minute thing, but maybe you just don't agree with them. So that's what I mean. And they'll say, well, that's the reason why I don't want to be with you, because you're not submissive, because I disagreed with you. And that's where I'm saying, how is that being communicated?
Well, I think everything can be theoretical, because, these type of, Kevin Samuel type quotes, they can be theoretical unless they're applied to real life situations.
Right.
The issue comes into play is, we all know that communication is not just verbal. It's how you use your voice. It's how you use your body language, your eyes. Right. When I raise up, my energy matters in my communication.
Right.
And sometimes, whether it's male or female, a person will say, all I said was this, but how did you say it? Exactly. What was the energy that carried?
It matters.
Because those things matter.
They do.
And then people like to play the saint when they blow up the spot.
Say that again, when they blow up the spot.
Yeah, they blow it up. Okay. And I used to tell people this all the time. If you can't put the clothes back neatly in the suitcase, don't take the clothes out. So what ends up happening is people want to communicate, yet they want to deal with all the stuff on the table. Let's throw all these emotional issues, and they don't know how to engage in conversations that require nuance without being triggered.
Okay.
So in other words, those people need to go get in therapy.
Okay, but you know what? That's another issue within itself. So before I give my comment, Anissa says, I agree with Gaylon. Some men overcompensate for their powerlessness out in the world by being controlling at home. And I'm going to tell you, that's one thing that I think that crosses all demographics. It's not whether you're white, black, Latino, whatever it is, that men do feel that they feel empowered. And they feel like if I'm not at a certain level outside of the home, I'm expecting a certain level of respect at home. But my thing is, why does it have to be the fault or the weight? The woman has to bear the weight of that. Why can't we just simply, and that's the whole thing, to your point, you may need to go see a therapist or talk to somebody, a coach or somebody, because I think that's where a lot of problems lie. And, especially when that dynamics now is changing with a lot of women out in the workforce.
You kept now my thought process left me.
Oh, sorry.
I think one of the things that we just have to be mindful of is when people are dealing with relationships in general. Okay, relationships aren't just two people getting together. It's the clashing,
right?
And hopefully, then the harmony of two different cultural contexts In other
Right.
words, you have a way of being, upbringing, background, past, and the other person does too. And then after Luther Vandross and Whitney Houston stopped singing, now you got to deal with that. And how do you integrate it?
Because, honey, Luther, they can bring it together, can't they?
Yeah,
You'll be
you
in
know,
love as long as that song is on. Some people just need to pipe it through their houses.
She said, "While the song is on."
As long as that song is on, a house is not a home. You looking at it like, you know what I mean? And you got your little love track. Some people just need to pipe music throughout their house. And one of the things, we talk all the time, Brian, about different situations, and as it relates to relationships. But my biggest concern is that women are starting to feel as if they can't speak, and if they voice an opinion, it's going to be taken in a negative way if it's not in alignment with that man. I mean, what's your perspective on that? And that's like, I felt that way a couple of times where I felt like I couldn't speak my mind, that is. And that's hard for me not to speak my mind. So it was a tough situation. So what's your thoughts on that? When women feel like they can't say what they want to say?
I mean, it all goes back to that man being mature, able to have a dialogue. I mean, a conversation is two people. You hear me, I hear you. Being like Gaylon said, your body language, your voice, your posture, everything matters when you come to communicating. I start crossing my arms, you start talking like this. What am I saying? I'm closed off. I don't want to hear what you got to say. And all those different gestures matter in being mature. Like, remember the very first show when I was in Hawaii, it's all about whether that person's mature or not. If there's someone who had their way, was given everything when he was a kid, were allowed to just do whatever they want to do, or they saw their father treating their mother a certain kind of way, that's what they know. And that's all they know. My dad yelled at my wife, so I'm gonna yell at mine. She didn't listen. She bowed down to my father, so my wife gonna bow down to mine. I mean, it's about being mature, but allow women would feel that way if a man comes out and says, "Well, I don't want you to talk. I don't want you to say what you have to say." I mean, what woman would close her doors or put walls up and not want to speak, or feel like what she says doesn't matter? I mean, a man would feel the same way.
I don't think anyone wants to be in that type of relationship. So my question to you guys is, why do you think women push back on the idea of being submissive? Why do you think they do that?
Because
why do you think I push back?
Because no human being owns another human being.
That's right.
So a person should push back from the concept of being submissive. Okay. The issue is not submission again. And just to put Kevin Samuels in context, Kevin Samuels' dynamic is he's talking about high-end men, high earners, all right, who are saying, I'm the pick of the litter, therefore I get to have the pick of the litter. And these women are saying, I deserve to get a Kevin Samuel. I'm not Kevin, not a Kevin Samuel. They want the millionaire guy, and Kevin Samuels was like, well, what do you bring to the table? So that's part of the conversation he's having. When you're dealing with people that are normally peer to peer, it's hard to say, okay, let me maybe take a back seat a little bit just to let this person do what they need to do because I know they're going to handle their business. I'm giving an example. LeBron James' wife.
Right.
They met in high school. They dated. He married her early. You don't see her in the news doing the Jada Smith, Will Smith thing.
She plays her role very well.
She's in her lane and she's happy in her lane. LeBron handles the business. LeBron brings home the bacon. She's a loving wife, supportive wife. He praises her. She's given him 3 wonderful children. Everything is good. Whereas then you have some people who are married to these high profile guys. Jada Smith is just an example of what's going on now, but she's not the only one that, from my perspective,
she was already out there before she met him. So you're taking 2 people who were out there. I mean, that's a different dynamic. And just before you go any further, Gaylon, so are you saying that when a person has money, that's okay for a woman, them to expect a woman to be submissive?
No. What I am saying is this.
Because that goes both ways then.
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm not saying it at all. What I am saying is if you watch history, this has nothing to do with Gaylon McDowell's opinion because it's not about my opinion. If you watch history, somehow, some way, women tend to put up with more when a man has more. And that's okay. So comedians joke about this. The Martin Lawrences and the Eddie Murphys through the years joked about, Johnny Carson having 300 million and the woman having 300. It's so you tend to see.
That's where my problem is. Society tends to be okay with that.
Okay, no. So you can't say society
Why can't
when women are making choices.
No, women are making choices because in their minds, and again, let me just say this.
Okay, so Christine, are you saying that there are not women who are striving, attempting to get a high earning man so they don't have to work, so they don't have to go out and do things, so they don't have to clean the house, that they can have maids.
I want to be clear right now. There are women fighting over guys that work at General Motors in the plant so they can stay at home.
So you know they're going to earner. Right. So you know they're going to fight over the high earning guy.
Good job. To have a job.
So my point is this: that's a choice. Okay. And is it a choice?
But what I'm saying is, Gaylon, that small group of women.
It's not small.
It's not in any way.
It's a large group.
No, what I'm saying, no, it's not. That's the problem. It's not. It's not. That's where the misunderstanding is for us as women. It's not a large population, those women. They look large because it's the same women trying to repeat the same thing. How many men in Hollywood have been married to the same woman? We're going to keep it real. They're all basically cycling the same women around.
No, that might be perception, but out of all the people in Hollywood, you can name
maybe 10
people.
Eddie Murphy's wife has been hooked up with how many people?
Okay, but that's an anomaly.
She's now with an NFL player. She was with him. Okay, and then we're gonna go over to what's my boy, Babyface's wife. That was Babyface's wife first.
Okay.
Then she was with Eddie. Now she's with an NFL player. So to me, is she a hoe or is she a woman but she got money in her own right?
No, but she's dating at her level.
No, forget dating at her level. She's being submissive.
That's what she's doing. She's gonna go.
What do you mean dating at her own level? She's recycling herself.
She's not gonna marry the FedEx guy.
She's dating at her level. You don't marry Eddie Murphy, get divorced from Eddie Murphy, and then go marry the guy who cuts grass at the local elementary school.
You don't have to marry the guy to cut grass.
And I'm not saying that's a bad job. They get paid, actually. You'd be surprised when landscapers get paid.
I know they do.
My point is, it's not profile.
But it's not about it's so okay. There you go. That means she's being a slave to the idea of being under a certain profile or attached to a certain person. So to me, that type of woman, I'm not in that group. I don't have to be attached to a certain type of man. But the thing is that it seems to me you guys you will compare, and this is what happens in our world. You've got women who are out there working every day, running their own companies, taking care of their business, or not running their own companies and taking care of their business. And you will compare me to, I'd rather have the girl at the drive-through window because I'm not going to have any problems out of her because she don't need to have money. She just needs to listen and do what I ask her to do. See, that's wrong for you to compare me to her. I'm a different caliber woman. So that's where our confusion is that you all it feels degrading to us that you feel like, Eric made a comment. We didn't ask you all to go to school and get those degrees and do all of that. And I'm like, so what are we supposed to do? Hop around and wait for some man to pick us up and take care of us? I mean, that's what we're not understanding, that dynamics. We do what we have to do to be successful, and then we get slapped around in the face, and you choose Susie Q, who's never worked a day in her life, because you want her to be dependent on you. So is it you want her to be dependent on you? You want her to be submissive? You don't want to have a way out? Like, what is that about? Why do men tend to choose women like that? Whether you have money or not.
Okay, so real talk.
Real talk. That's what we want to know.
Okay. Men like attention. People say women like attention. Men like attention. Men tend to trend towards women who give them the attention that they desire. I'm just being real. I mean, if you go back and just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to some friends of mine when they had friends that were basketball players at University of Illinois.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention any names. Some of these guys made the NBA.
Right.
And there were always, it was a group of and I don't want to get into the racial thing, but this was a racial conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation came up was, why are these Caucasian white women all over these NBA players?
Yes.
I know of a player who, she had locked in. She was like, okay, I'm gonna help him with his homework, pass these tests. I'm gonna make sure, his dorm room is good, his whatever needs to be happening. And when it came time to go to the NBA, guess who he carried with him?
Her.
The person who gave him attention. Now, people say, well, that's a white and black thing. I said, it might be a white and black thing, but I think it's more of an attention thing. Because what ends up happening is, when
no,
that's a different show.
Because Carlito's way, so the path of least resistance is the answer.
Yeah.
and then she followed it with, do you want to fight for your dinner every night, or do you want it served with no lip? I just want to say Carlito's way is a woman.
I was wondering about that, who Carlito's way was.
Carlito's way is a woman. I just want to be clear.
But you get my point about attention, and by the way, so here's the thing, and I don't want to do all the talking because Brian actually wrote a book about this stuff. For a guy has to feel as though a woman is his piece.
Okay, and so, but what does that mean? Does that mean I can't say anything?
No.
I can't say anything different.
No, that has nothing to do with it.
What is it?
So obviously, for instance, there are times when it's best to engage a woman, and there's times when it's best to engage a man.
Okay.
Research is and not just the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, but there are other books that talk about how men need an opportunity to decompress after a hard day's work.
Yeah.
You walk in the door, kids, this, I need this. We need to talk about this. We need to go over that. Like, can I take my coat off first?
Okay.
Simple. That has nothing to do with the competency or the education level of a lady. At the same time, that same information says when you try to get a woman to stop doing something that she really wants to do and her mind is going like this, it actually increases her stress level. Trying to get a woman to calm down when she doesn't want to calm down creates more stress.
It does.
Okay.
And I just want to say, Gaylon, it's the same thing for women. We walk in the door from work, we're required to start cooking dinner. We don't get a time to decompress and take a moment to ourselves. So why should you guys have it?
Okay.
We don't get it.
This
Mommy,
is where communication comes into play.
When's dinner gonna be ready? Where's my shirt? I don't have my football cleats. It's all, you just getting through the door too. So why do you guys think you are warranted or supposed to be provided with something that we don't get?
Brian. So the issue comes into play is communication.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about. It's communication. People want life to work on automatic. That's one.
Okay.
Two, they want to walk into the ring of anything, the ring of marriage, the ring of work, the ring of business owner, whatever, and expect to throw blows and never get hit. And what I mean by that is simply this. If you engage in anything worthwhile, it's going to have its ups and downs. And you have to learn how to navigate the ups and downs and find out if they match or don't match with your bottom lines. Communicate. People don't communicate what they want. They want you to be psychic. Men, if you get a group of men together, almost all guys will tell you.
I get that part. You guys always
I'm supposed to be a mind reader. I got to figure out what when she says no, but it really means yes. When I ask her,
but it's the same thing for us with you guys. We'll ask you
because nobody is communicating.
Like you, Brian. Brian, you always tiptoe around.
Tiptoe? What you mean tiptoe around? Hey,
you tiptoe around?
No, I don't. The thing is, like Gaylon said, it is about communicating. I mean, when a woman comes in the house and if the man says, well, you need to cook dinner. I mean, that's not how it's supposed to be. When you're in a relationship, it's shared responsibility. It's shared responsibility. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. Like Gaylon said, I wrote a book about it. When I went through the things I went through with my late wife, I cooked dinner. I washed clothes. I got the kids ready. I helped them with the homework. I ironed my wife's clothes. I cooked special meals for her. I mean, I took her to the doctor. I mean, I did everything for her. And it's giving of yourself. Once again, you're giving
But
yourself.
like if we could multiply you to like 1 million guys, women would love that. But you're not the norm. We can't multiply you times 1 million. That's all. You're not the norm.
And I get it. And the thing is, the way I came to that place is I had to go through some hard times. I mean, it wasn't about me.
But the thing is, Brian, but that's the whole point. Every man's not like you. So if every man doesn't go into a relationship, and you guys know I've gotten knocked for not being a person who cooks. So every man, they look like as if now I'm like half a woman or 3/4 of a woman because, oh, you don't cook? Well, what does that mean? I'm losing points for that? How about the fact that I run 2 successful companies? How about the fact that I like to do my own landscaping? How about the fact I can rewire a wall or put in my own light fixture? Like, seriously, I'm losing points over some food situation. I can go get some food.
But that's not what I'm saying. But here's the thing, Christine. That means they're not the guy because that's not what they want.
That's true. Nope. I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of the guys I date actually do cook. But guys, give me 1 second. You all know what time this is. We've got to take a commercial. And as always, I'm always very happy to say on 5 F's to Love, you guys can actually brand your companies and do marketing here with us. So if you're interested in marketing your company on a 5 F's to Love podcast, be sure to reach out to me and send me a DM.
I gotta tell you something I could do.
Okay, guys, welcome back to 5 F's to Love. If you're just joining us for the second half, I don't know if you know who's here tonight. Cedric will be joining us shortly. And by the way, today is Cedric's birthday. So that's the reason why he's joining us a little late today. So we have Reverend Gaylon McDowell. He's from Chicago. He's actually an assistant pastor at one of the largest churches in Chicago. And he's a really, really good friend of mine. And I love his advice. He's been a marriage counselor for over 20 years. And then we have Briant Rogers, who is an author. He's an amazing guy, an awesome dad. And he's the guy that, honestly, he dates with a purpose. He's looking for a wife. He's not looking just to date to have a friend. So that's who we have here tonight. So let me welcome back my guests tonight. So Gaylon and Briant, I'm going to tell you, sometimes our ladies get a little laid back about asking questions and putting things out there. So what Carlito's Way said is roles and responsibilities in any relationship must be mutually agreed upon. If not, there's going to be a discord. And I agree with her 100%. We have Precious, and she says, I am loving this conversation. Let me tell you something. Precious is actually on Ladies Talk. And when I tell you Precious is hilarious on her own, but she's a very, very successful woman. And we're going to talk about that because a lot of what we're talking about tonight is real for us. And again, you guys talk about women in general who do certain things that have a masculine energy. I kind of feel like you're talking about me, but we won't get into that. No. But what I'm going to say to you guys is this is really hard because people misunderstand or mistake, your fire, you know what I mean, for what you want out of life or your directness for you being masculine energy or being aggressive. And that's really not my intent. I'm actually pretty laid back. But the thing is, you guys already know there's 3 things I must have. And I have those conversations up front every time I meet somebody. And I know it turns people off. You guys know I like, can you cook? Instead of them asking me, can I cook? I'm like, can you cook? Then you know what number 2 is. What's happening, with the activities? Are we going to be able to have activities on a regular? And when I say activities, I hate to be so blunt, but does your penis work on a regular basis? I need to know, are you on medication? Is a food situation? Y'all know that. Like, I keep it real, right?
Yeah,
because I'm going to tell you, I know this woman who was with a guy before this whole surgery thing got really massive and awesome. He had a pump where he had to pump it up, like with a pump. And I was like, I was trying to imagine, how do you get in the mood? And he said, babe, give me a minute. Like, how does that work? Like, I need a minute to pump this up. Or do you go to the bathroom, pump it up, then come? I don't know how that works. But that was a little weird. But what I'm saying to you is, for me, once you reach age 50, I need to know, does it work? So let me tell you. So Tammy Duke is on. And thanks, Tammy, so much for joining us. She said, I think it's what works for them. No defined roles. Is that true? Are you guys about not defining roles? Is that what it's about?
I think that in the perfect world, totally defining your roles is a great thing. I tell couples all the time, you get to create the marriage you desire in premarital counseling. However, let me just say this. Men are normally judged by what we produce.
Okay.
Let me give an example. You know, you'll hear people say that person's not a real man. You rarely hear someone say that's not a real woman. So when people tell me, you know, that person's not a man, I said, what do you mean? He could be a disrespectful man, a criminal man, a broke man, a rich man, an honorable man, a spiritual man, but an adult male is a man. Okay, now what type of man he is a different conversation.
Why do you say that?
An adult male is a man.
An adult male can also be a boy, a man child.
No. See, that's female talk.
No, that's real talk.
No.
Be a man child.
An adult male is a man. An adult woman, a female, is a woman.
Who acts like a girl?
Who acts like is not. I can act like I'm Spider-Man. I can walk out and put some spandex on and be walking around acting like I'm shooting web shooters at people. That doesn't make me Spider-Man. My point is this. Men are judged by what they produce. Period. Okay. And you know, so when men are, you can get one of those guys that does all that stuff and says, okay, I want to be a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
Okay. That's viewed differently, not just by men. It's also viewed differently by women. Okay. People say that roles don't matter. But if I'm walking down the street with my wife, okay, and somebody shows up and looks like it's going to assault us, I can't say, well, this relationship is even and this hasn't been defined. You fight them. Or I can't just run off and leave her there. The view, not just by her, but by everyone would be
you to step up.
Right, would be, you're a man. How come you didn't defend her?
So you think that's role regimented or just expectations? And by the way,
roles are determined by the expectation.
Tammy's laughing at you when you said, "Oh, we equal." Are you gonna fight us?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, people say that roles don't matter until
But why is defending us a role?
Okay, hear me. Just hear what I'm saying though, because what you're saying is that you're saying, do these roles matter? I'm saying that culture presents roles to us and expects us to act them out. If I'm walking into a building and it's a group of 5 women and I just walk in and open myself up and say, look, we're all equal, I'm expected to hold that door. Is that right, Briant?
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
no. Why are you guys keep saying that's a role instead of basically common courtesy or
no.
Why is it a role?
I wouldn't common courtesy hold a door for 5 dudes.
But I mean, and so
I wouldn't common courtesy.
We'll let the door close for dudes.
I want if it's a group of 5 guys, I'm opening the door. If a guy's right next to me, I'm like, here you go, dog, and I'm gonna walk in. Push the door back so that he can grab it, and then we're gonna go in while I'm holding it for one. I would literally stand at a door and let 30 women go in the door before I walked in, because that's what's expected.
But why do you know that that's a role instead of an expectation?
It's a role.
It's a common courtesy.
Well, I think it's both.
It's not courtesy because it's expected. It can't be courtesy if it's expected.
Why can't it not be courtesy?
No, it's not courtesy.
I mean, I've opened up the door for men and women.
Okay, it's not courtesy. Courtesy is if I do it, great. If I don't do it, great. It's not courtesy if I don't do it. You see that guy didn't open the door for those women? All I'm saying, Christine, is there are times when people say, oh, let's just define these roles for ourselves, and then we impose expectation that's separate and apart from that conversation onto men or onto women. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, so you're saying the same way men impose, can women cook? And they make that like a top priority. Just to let you know, even men who make money, I've heard that conversation directed towards me. Like, you can't make anything, nothing. Dude, you make this much money, we can get a cook to do all the magic you want. Why do you make it seem like I'm now moved down to number 2 because I can't make pancakes in the morning? We can have Lola at the house to make the pancakes. I'm not understanding this.
Well,
So that's all I'm saying.
You know, that's a what's that? Depends how they say a way to a man's heart through his stomach. That's one of them old.
I know, but you guys are still milking that cow.
No, I don't milk that cow. I mean, there are men, who they can cook, expecting a woman to cook. But that's old from the way back in the day. Oh, she can't cook and she can't be the one.
And you guys are still carrying that stuff. Tammy says having unexpressed expectations can be an issue.
It can.
She said you have to talk about them. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of men still carry that old myth that if you can't cook, it's an issue. And honestly, they bundle that up with that whole submissive thing. They bundle it. And that kind of irritates me. So what I want to do is with you guys, I want to share. I'm trying to figure out how to share this with you because, wait a minute. I'm trying to make it larger. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to have to pull my volume up. Okay, give me 1 second because this is what I just, and women, by the way, I'm going to do a disclaimer right now that I don't want anybody to be angry or upset about what you're about to see or hear in this moment. Okay. All right. So let me go back. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to make sure you guys can hear what it is that I'm about to share with you. All right. Give me 1 second. So this is the conversation I was telling you guys related to Kevin Samuels.
Very smart, like very high IQ. And I just want to say this. So here's the reality. I'm going to say some uncomfortable things that might piss some people off, but I'm going to say it. It is what it is. Successful black men, a lot of the time, do not deal with black women. That's just the reality. You look at athletes, you look at celebrities, etc. The first thing a lot of black men do when they make money is they go and they run and get a white girl, a Latina, an Asian, whatever it is, right? This is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of African-American women dislike, okay? Now, what Kevin is doing, contrary to what a lot of African-American women think, is he's trying to bring black men and black women together. So he's going right into the hornet's nest and telling the black women, this is why you're losing these black men to these other races of women. Because here's the reality, and there's empirical data to prove this. Black women have the lowest approval rate of all the other races of women. I'm going to say that again. Black women have the lowest approval rate of all the other races on dating apps because they've done it on OkCupid and a couple other dating apps where they looked and said that they saw that black women have the lowest response rates. Now, I know people are saying, well, why is that relevant? I'll tell you why it's relevant. Because on online dating apps, people are brutally honest with what they actually like. Yes. That's why the data is so good. So black women have the lowest approval ratings. And on top of that, black women, by far, when you look at the numbers, prefer African-American men. Why is this a problem? Well, it goes simple as this. Black men are like the universal blood donor. They'll deal with other demographics of women if they can. Women are blood type A. They can only deal with African-American men typically. That's what they prefer. But the men that they want can date a whole plethora of women versus what they're looking for is a very segmented portion of the community. Now, let's add some buffers onto that make it worse. Educated black women, far less likely to get into a relationship than an educated Caucasian woman, okay? Kevin talks about this on his show with data, and the women don't like to hear it, right?
Okay, so I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to let you guys talk first because you already know when I come in, I'm going to come in strong on that. So I'm going to get your feedback first because I'm feeling a little, but, of course I got to, share with you what my followers right now, everyone's viewing. Roz, thank you so much for joining. Roz said, ha, okay? And I'm going to tell you that's a mouthful coming from Roz right now because she probably wants to say a whole bunch more than that. And Tammy says black women are the most unprotected race of women. And I'm coming from that angle as well because it's serious. It really is serious. So that comment from Kevin Samuels that I just shared with you guys came from a clip that Cedric shared. And I just want to say that was just an unreal expectation. Hey, Cedric, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We would love
Okay,
to sing
wonderful.
happy
What's up,
birthday to
brothers?
you. So,
Hey.
just to let you guys know, I said Cedric will be joining us late because it is his birthday and he's out celebrating. So thank you so much for joining us. So, Cedric, I just played part of the clip from Kevin Samuels, and so Brian and Gaylon were about to respond to that.
Well, I want to first of all say that wasn't Kevin Samuels. He was
No, that
quoting
wasn't.
Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, he was talking about it.
And for those who might not know who he is.
Oh, and just to let you know, he's best friends with Kevin Samuels. That's the guy who has his own. Yeah,
I'm aware of that guy. I actually just saw a clip of that same guy getting clowned by a female guest, which was hilarious.
Yes.
But, that being said, I think there's data that you can use without creating blame. So what some people do is they take data and then they make a hypothesis based upon the data that creates blame and makes somebody wrong, and saying, instead of saying, okay, what can we do to be able to bridge the gap? Some people use data destructively, and some people use data.
What are you saying, Gaylon, as it relates to what Kevin said, though, regardless of the data? What do you think about what he's communicating? Because he has now 1.9 thousand people watching this buffoonery.
Well, what I would say is this: in life, sometimes you need someone who's going to stir the pot. That's Kevin's job.
Okay, Kevin's stirring the pot, but it's all very negative towards.
No. See, here's the thing. I'm not saying. Let me put it this way. In the 1960s, late 50s and 1960s, you had both Malcolm X and you had Martin Luther King.
Right.
Okay. You're not hearing it when it's coming.
Right.
More love expressed through the vehicle of a Martin Luther King.
Yep.
Now, when it came raw,
understood,
from Malcolm X, now it was you're a racist, you're this, you're that, and all he was just trying to say is, okay, you don't want to deal with us when we love, when we say love. You don't want to deal with us when we say march. You don't want to deal with us when we change the law. So I'm giving context. Okay. The context is this: there have been people who've been saying that the male-female dynamic on both ends in the Black community needs healing.
Right.
That there's some levels of functioning delusion out of our folks when it comes to relationships.
Right.
Kevin Samuels, initially, his first 3 or 4 years of his career doing this, he only talked to men.
Yep.
All right.
Right.
And nobody had a problem with him destroying guys on the internet. Now it's flipped, and now he's giving women his attention.
Exactly, because his followers have increased. So what your point is that Kevin is basically doing this to make noise, or does he truly mean it?
I would say Kevin is doing it to make money.
Okay. All right. So you're saying making money. So Cedric, what's your thoughts?
Let me ask a question, because of course I'm like chiming in late, but is the subject still protection versus submission, or no?
No, we that was our first half. We're on the Kevin Samuels video that you sent me. We've watched that just a few minutes ago.
Okay. So you're on Kevin Samuels. Okay. I don't know him personally, but I would agree with the brother. He's about making money because he sounds arrogantly stupid to me. I mean, he makes some dollar points. He calls sisters out on things he should call them out on, but it's the shock tactic that I think that boosts his ratings or whatever, which I think is totally like unnecessary. But I had this to say, if you don't mind me reverting for a moment, is that okay?
No, go ahead.
Okay. On this thing about protection versus submission, I wanted to say to the sisters who have a problem with the word submission, and I let the experts on the spiritual basis speak that point. But my point is, number one, you don't follow no fool, and you can tell a man's God by his habits. A man or person's habits becomes their God. So if a man's God is gambling, his God is hanging out, his God is sex, his God is like drinking, you don't submit to that. You don't submit to that spirit. So once again, if the man is being led divinely, then that's what you submit. You submit to the God in that man. And women can't get mad at that man for submitting to a fool. That's on you. So
Cedric,
if that man is like led, excuse
you
me.
sound so sweet tonight. Even Ross is being sweet. Ross said happy birthday, Cedric. I mean, is it the alcohol in you tonight? Like, you're being so sweet. I don't even know what to say.
No.
And Cook said happy birthday, Cedric. Looking good, player.
Thank you, lovelies. Love all y'all. Love y'all.
Like, you come in and you got your little cheerleaders. I don't even know what to say, so you just jumped on like that.
But
I just want to share with you what Tammy said. This is what Tammy is saying. She says, I agree, but Black relationships need healing. But at the same time, Tammy is also saying about him, but, Samuels, and she's saying Kevin Sam is hurting people in the process. He's hurting Black women.
Yes,
he's saying some real ugly stuff about us. And I'm about to get to that because we don't have much time left. So, Brian, what's your thought? What's your thought, Brian?
Brothers. The bottom line for this guy is to make money. And what makes money? Dirt, lies, deception. Those things make money. So the more people he can piss off, which he's going to do, the women, the Black women, I mean, he's going to draw them all in. And his ratings are going up. His paycheck is getting fatter. So it's just the bottom line. He know what he's doing. So he's capitalizing.
I agree.
And he's definitely capitalizing. Ross said typically the non-Black women that wealthy Black men end up with are not the cream of the crop because if they were, they wouldn't give a Black man the time of day. What do you guys think?
Can we all just get along?
Ross,
can we all just get along?
I didn't even get this. He's been drinking. He's mellowed out.
What I would say in response to that answer is this, though. Nobody gets to define for you what your cream of the crop is. See, one of the challenges that come into play is people still don't want to admit that people have choice. I don't have to like you because you think you check all the boxes.
I agree, Gaylon. Everybody does have a choice, but I just want to be clear in what Kevin says. And by the way, I started watching Kevin's podcast like a year ago because I just wanted to see what he was about, even way before I thought about even doing a podcast. And I'm going to tell you this, as a woman, I thought a lot of what he was saying was true based on the conversation, but it was the way he was saying it. But now he's gotten really cheap with it. And now he's consistently downgrading the Black woman in every conversation as if we're less than. And I mean, he's gotten down to the point where he'll take a successful Black woman and he'll say to you, you can have money, but you can't be fat. You still got to have money. But as a man, I can be fat and have money. And that's just the way society is. And then he'll point to a Black woman and he'll say a lot more in a negative sense about us, not only being overweight and having money, but it's some other things that he points out. So what I'm saying to you is at some point, all Black women are saying is that can somebody just stand up for us and say that we are, why do we go to the Latinos? Why do we go to white women? Why do we go to Chinese women, the Filipinos? We got men shipping women into the United States. That's what we don't get.
Chris, what have I always told you? With men what? We follow the path of least resistance.
Carlito's Way reminded that us tonight.
Period.
And
Period.
Tam here. Tam said
all those diplomas, all those titles, all that money does not matter to us. Am I stressed when I come? Am I stressed when I come home? Am I stressed when I come home, or am I released when I come home?
Okay, you know what? I get that part. But what I'm saying to you is, what about if I'm stressed when I get home? What are you doing to make me happy? Damn it, I got you. All day.
I got you. All of us got you.
A glass of wine and a foot rub. And
all of us got you.
What part is right in that? And so the other thing is, Roz, I love Roz. She said insecure men do that. They want to be.
Yes, that's true.
That's right.
That's true, Roz. That's true, Roz.
She's right. She's right.
So I'm going to tell you guys this. I knew this conversation was going to go beyond that, and because we only have 6 minutes left, I just want to be clear in what I'm saying to you all. I do want Kevin Samuels. I do want to talk to him. I do want him to come to Relationship Summit. I don't want anybody to be mad with me. because my people are reaching out to him. And
I don't care for him personally. I don't care for him personally.
I don't.
I don't
But
care
I
for
would
him
like
personally.
to come to Relationship Summit because women listen to him and people listen to him. And I just want to say to him personally, I'm one of them women who you talk about all the time. I'm not an angry black woman. I'm not jumping over the gate and acting a fool and all that kind of stuff. He paints us as like angry black women constantly. Raj, she said, start cooking and they can't fault you for nothing, for not trying. You know what, Raj? You know what? I'm gonna tell you. Raj is like, look, Raj cook. I'm not gonna fool with you. Raj cook. So Raj, you got that up on me. Cedric said he's gonna give me cooking lessons, Raj. Okay. See what happens, Cedric, when you join late. Now Roz is on me. That's my girl. I don't even understand that. Tammy said, she said, Chris, start cooking. Tammy said, I don't care for him either. She said, I don't care for him either, Cedric. That's what Tammy said. She's over it. But
exactly.
I think the thing with Kevin Samuels, and again, I'm not defending him because I think what he's doing ultimately is to get paid. And if people can't get that out of their heads, then they don't see this in its proper context. One, women are calling into his show to be abused.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, so he's not breaking into women's homes and disrespecting them. They're calling in to be rated.
And Denise agreed with you. Denise says sisters are giving Kevin got too much power. He's expressing an opinion, and that's it. Stop listening to him. You know what, Denise? You're right. That's what they need to stop doing. They need to stop listening. Tammy said, don't give him any energy. He's a joke. And I'm going to tell you, I think I already know that he's a joke with some of the stuff he says. And I think he's extremely insensitive. And from my understanding, he's not even married to a black woman.
I would just say, Chris, if you ever meet him in person, do not have me with you because I heard him. I don't like him.
You know what?
I don't like him.
Okay, Cedric, when you come to the Relationship Summit, I want you to be nice, honey. Tammy said this woman is looking for validation.
Yeah, I think it's these women.
And that's the problem, because when these women call in, I'm like, why would you want someone to speak to you and tell you that you're not good enough to be you in your space, and you're not good enough to get somebody because you have 2 kids? I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you. If a man wants you, he doesn't care if you got 1 kid or 5 kids. If he wants you, he wants you. It's just that simple. That means he's accepting you and everything that comes with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's
sometimes. No, let me say that. That's sometimes.
No, I said if he really wants you, he does.
Okay, if he wants you bad enough, yes. However, and I think you always got to put a caveat into this. Mm-hmm. What all men know is this: the majority of stepfathers, in that context, you want the responsibility of take care of my child, but you never view this as our child, and that's one of the conversations that sometimes women aren't honest about. I've had this conversation with many couples that I've.
Mr. Gaylon, don't give out our next show. That's what it's about. Don't give it out.
Okay. I'm about to say, because this
don't give it out.
That issue right there, that's a real issue. Like, you can't say nothing to my child.
I mean, but you can't. Okay, Gaylon, but you can't talk about it because the next show is called "Are You Gonna Love My Baby?" It's called "Are You Gonna Love My Baby?" Don't do that. Okay, because we're talking about men who marry women. Because right now we're in a day and age, and I want to be clear. I'm going to share some data with you guys. We have the highest rate of divorce right now. And a lot of people are now marrying people who have children by someone else. And that's the reason why our next show with you guys is, Will You Love My Baby? And that's what it's about. It's about men marrying women and how much do they really love them. And I can only tell you because I was a product of that. My stepfather loved me like I was his own, but everybody's not like him. You get what I'm saying? And I get that part. But I don't want to steal my own next show, right? We can't steal the next show. But I'm going to say this to you guys. I knew this conversation would be bigger than this, than what it was, because women, this is our big thing about being submissive. Roz said the women that go on Kevin Samuels, low self-esteem.
She's right.
Just straight up. You know,
I think some of those women want to be seen. And
exactly.
We can't forget that we're in a reality show world. You go on Kevin Samuels, you go viral. You can make your own money. You can have your own career out of ratchetness.
Right. Out of ratchetness.
You know, I don't fall victim to the belief that all women who engage with people like Kevin are victims. That conversation is not a conversation I'm willing to have. Some people are very eyes wide open and they have other agendas of why they do it.
Agreed, 100%. Althea, thank you so much for watching. She agreed with the same thing, is that women have low self-esteem. Tammy said these women are looking for validation and attention. And to your point, because we're in that age of social media and you could perhaps get your own show, if you show up on his show and you were seen this way or appear this way, people are willing to do what they have to do to get that 5 minutes of fame. That's what they're looking for, 5 minutes of fame. So
because in today's world, you can leverage that into money.
Exactly. And you can leverage into money. And that's like a huge business. So I want to say to you guys, I knew this was going to be a bigger conversation. Cedric, I'm so happy that you're celebrating your birthday, and I'm sorry I had to work because
No. Look here. I miss you guys. It's been like a couple of weeks or whatever. I just wanted to chime in. I'm about to go have a bottle that my friends got for me, so I appreciate you guys. But just to our audience, just be it men and women, when you go into a situation, a conversation, lead with your spirit of who you are, not what you do, not what you have. Just let who you are as a spirit speak volumes more than what you got. And based on that, folks will just adjust their hand accordingly. That's all.
Oh my gosh, Cedric, that wine has really mellowed you out tonight.
It sure has.
Oh my gosh. Tammy said great conversation. Thank you, Tammy, for joining us. Cedric, I don't know what wine, honey, when you get back to the table, write that down so I can get you a couple bottles.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, but I love y'all. Have a great rest of the show, and we'll chime in on the next time, okay?
Okay, well, wait a minute. Althea said this was awesome. Happy birthday, Cedric. Cedric, I don't know. I feel like you're the star of the show. Maybe I should change you to the
I'm not the star of the show. I'm just part of the cosmos. That's all.
You part of the cosmos? Well, Cedric, enjoy it, honey. I'll talk to you later.
God bless. All right, peace, y'all.
All right, see ya.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say this, guys, I knew this would be a bigger conversation, and I know this is probably something we're going to have to bring up again. But women are deeply, deeply concerned, especially African-American women, about our place and where we fit right now. And one thing that I will say to you, and that's one of the things that, when I talk amongst my girlfriends, we do tend, and that'll be our first conversation on Real Talk with Ladies. Why do we tend to choose our Black men and not to go outside of our own race? When Black men would do it like that in a snap of a second. And I heard them say to me, Christine, vagina's vagina to us. There's no difference in it. Whereas to us, we seem to pay homage to our Black men first before we go to any other race. So, and that's our first conversation on Real Talk with Ladies, which is next Friday. We are launching Real Talk with Ladies, and I can't wait till you guys see our lineup, because we got some ladies on that podcast, and they're going to rock it out. And I'm so excited to have them on board with the brand. It's going to be a new conversation. And I'm telling you guys got competition now. You better tighten up the ship over here. These ladies are going to run you out. She said, look, Ross said, if Black women are starting to do that, she said, I'll be over. I love Ross. And I want to say thank you so much, guys, for joining the conversation. See you. Thank you, Tammy, for joining us. See you, honey. I miss you too. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's going to be Rockstar. And you already know, Roz will be one of the ladies on Real Talk. We have Precious. We have Hate. We have Latanya, who is Dr. Spinelli. And then we have one extra person I don't want to tell you about, but it's Chaya. And when I tell you those girls are bringing it, those ladies are going to knock you out the box. So get ready, guys. You got competition now. We got Real Talk with Ladies. And we will be talking about y'all. So you might want to tune in and take notes. So I'm going to say thank you so much. You guys, I thank you for your honesty. This is a great conversation. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month. All right. So for our viewers, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us here tonight on 5F's to Love podcast. And join us next week, where we're going to have our ladies on, and Chaya's joining us. Hey, Chaya. Hey, Roz. So I'm really excited about everyone who's joining the 5F's to Love Real Talk with Ladies. We're going to have real conversations, and we want you to come back next Friday and join us for a conversation about men and life in general and where we are. And again, thanks again for taking the time, for stepping in and watching us here at 5F's to Love. My name is Christine Burkett. the inventor of the 5 F's to love. This is a compatibility app. It's an app that gives you an opportunity to rate words that start with the letter F in chronological order of importance to you, to help you find your one true love, your soulmate, and the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So after you've taken the time to rate your F's in chronological order, you send a link to the person, I don't know, you just met, or the person you've been dating for quite some time, or maybe it's the person you've been married to for 30 to 40 to 50 years. And then you compare your top 5 F's to find out what things you have in common and things that you may perhaps need to work on. This is taking a simplistic perspective on how to find your one true love, your soulmate, the person you're going to spend the rest of your life